What's up, everyone? It's your host, Jen, and we're here to spill the tea and throw some shade. Let's get into it. Well, guys, I have a special guest today, and I'm super excited to have her. We literally recorded the podcast, and like 5 minutes in, I realized I wasn't actually recording, so we're going to try this again. Amateur issues. I'm working on it, okay? But thank you, Melissa, for being here. I'm glad you're not in a rush to be anywhere today for once. So I have Melissa Kelly here today. She's a really good friend of mine, and a woman that I admire, and she has many hats that she wears. We were just talking earlier today and had a brief discussion. I was like, so just to summarize, this is what you do. And then she added on like 20 additional things to the list. And I was like, okay, we're going to have a really interesting conversation, and we're going to learn a lot about Melissa today. So Melissa Kelly is a boudoir photographer, very, very talented. She's been in the industry for just about a decade now, which is a long time, probably as long as I've been in business, I would say. And now Melissa is Jane of all trades. She's also a makeup artist, and she's an actress and has a series out on Amazon Prime, which we will cover. And she has many businesses. One that we want to highlight on is her new business in interior design. So let's take it away for Melissa. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming and taking the time out of your busy day to be here. So Melissa, I guess let's just start with like how we met. Like, where did it start?
I think we met through the world of social media first, because we were both starting out with our businesses, and kind of the whole boss babe thing back in the day.
I love it. Yeah.
And we have both over the years have used one another's services. So thank you.
Thank you. I feel very sexy despite the fact that I'm wearing an oversized sweater right now, but
you look fabulous.
It's all that fits.
Always. But yeah, we've remained friends and contacts over almost 10 years now. So
it's been amazing. So, I mean, I adore Melissa. I love all her services. I can swear by all the work she produces and the professionalism, and I could go on about everything. But I want to really get to know Melissa today on more of a personal level behind the camera, because she spends so much of her time taking care of us. Let's learn about who she is and what she does and how she got where she is, because I think a lot of this is very inspirational.
Thank you.
So Melissa, you, first and foremost, I met you as a boudoir photographer. So when I first heard about the term boudoir, I was like, is that even a thing? Is that a sustainable like job? Honestly, mm-hmm. Because how many women actually need or want it? And is there enough of a clientele out there that actually wants to hire someone to do this? And is it pornography? There's like so many questions that go through your head, and it's like taboo or whatever. So you must have some really interesting stories.
I do. It's like you said, I'm going on 10 years now, and I have photographed over 10,000 women, all different ages, shapes, and sizes. I've seen it all. I've heard it all. Everybody has a story, and I'm there to capture it inside and out, your inner beauty and your outer beauty, and I love the feeling that I give my clients.
It's amazing. So that's like first and foremost. Now, how did you get into boudoir photography?
Well, I had always loved photography. Growing up, I've always felt like I had an eye for photos, but like any art, we were made to believe that there's no money to be made. So I went in a completely different direction. I've worked many jobs over the years, but prior to my photography, I was a lab tech at McMaster, and I was there for 14 years. And during that time, I was married. I became pregnant with my daughter. I gained a ton of weight with my pregnancy. I just ate everything in sight. So
it's like me now.
I loved it. And then over time I lost the weight, separated from my husband, and I was newly single, and there was another photographer that I knew, and she wanted to build her portfolio, and I suggested, why don't we do a boudoir shoot? And I'll be your model, but I'm very insecure about my body because I had gained so much weight, but I had also lost really fast. So there was a lot of loose skin and stuff. And I didn't really feel comfortable in my own skin at all. So she assured me that she would take care of me. And I walked out of that photo shoot and I felt incredible. And I just felt, you don't need a man to make you feel sexy.
Damn straight. We got to take all these advice and remember that for ourselves in our normal life.
Yes, yeah. So, and then over time, while I was working as a lab tech, I thought to myself, you know what, I'd like to do some photography, but just do boudoir photography. And this was about 2012 that I started to think this, and there was no course on boudoir photography, but I found textbooks and I purchased those, and I would train myself and study on my lunch breaks the art of boudoir photography. And then I just invested in some gear. I invited 3 women over that worked at the hospital. I didn't even know them all really, but they were all different ages, shapes, and sizes. I took their photos, posted them online, and then all of a sudden women were, "Oh, how much do you charge?" And I'm like, I don't know, because I didn't plan to start it as a business.
Yeah.
I had started it as a hobby because I had actually planned on retiring as a lab tech. And then when it started to take off, things kind of fell in place, and I really truly believe that I'm onto something here. And it was scary because I was a single mom as well. So I'm a single mom. I work, this cushy job for Hamilton Health Sciences where I get my sick pay and my pension. And I left that 2 years in to doing the boudoir. I left that 2 years in to be a full-time boudoir photographer.
And you did this all as a single mom?
As a single mom. People thought I was crazy.
That is crazy. Well, it's hard to give away that job security.
Yes.
So what was the transition like? Did you just cold turkey quit the hospital, or was this like, I'll go down to part-time?
Well, no, it's funny. There was a few aha moments. I would be at work and in the lab at work, and we had a TV in the waiting room, and there was an episode of Dragon's Den, and there was a woman asking for them to invest in her business. And I remember Kevin O'Leary, one of the dragons, said, what else do you do? And she said, I'm in real estate. And he said, well, why am I going to invest in you if you're not going to invest fully in yourself? And I just thought,
that's a good point.
Yeah. So that sat with me. And then it was a few months later, there was some traumatic life events that happened, and I made the decision one day I walked into my boss's office and I said, today's my last day. And just like that, I wasn't even planning.
And you 100% committed to it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But I did, but then there was a turn of events where I ended up actually taking a leave, and during that leave, the Hamilton Health Sciences, their lab was restructuring. And they were offering packages. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to quit and get a package. And so that's what I did. I took a voluntary exit package from Hamilton Health Sciences. Everything lined up. Everything lined up as, everything just fell into place. And I went with it. And it was scary, I have to say, signing that paperwork, handing over my pension, giving up my pension, giving up my sick pay, as a single mom to become a boudoir photographer, which nobody really even heard of. It was scary, but exciting at the same time. But I knew I could do it.
Absolutely. And I think fear is a really good motivator, right?
Yeah.
I think that was terrifying. When I started our business, I know for us, my husband and I, that's who I'm referring to, we took a bank loan out for a mortgage down payment because we just didn't have it. I'm like, Ancaster's expensive to live in. I just don't know where I'm going to get this money being part-time, but I was like you. And it's funny, we worked for the same organization and I ended up just going casual and never picking up shifts, and then eventually getting let go of because I wasn't even present as an employee, which I deserved it. But
right.
I think that's a great how things aligned for you.
Yeah.
Did you have clients at the time when you quit, or were you just
I did.
Fuck this, I can't?
When I first started doing the whole boudoir thing, the word got out there, and I was invited on to our local morning show to do a segment, and I did that. And the day that they had asked me to come in, it was a snow day, so everyone's watching. Everybody wants to see what's open and closed on a snow day,
Right.
All of a sudden, like, I left the studio and my phone didn't stop for like 5 days. And then I was invited onto a radio morning show as well. And same thing, I left there and my phone didn't stop. And then it just kept building and building and building. And now 10 years later, I have women that are coming back for their 20th shoot.
Wow.
Yes, it's great. Yeah.
Do you think that women do this for themselves or do you do it for gifts? Like, what are you seeing more of the reason women are coming to you for the shoot?
I think over the years, up until the pandemic there, I was getting a lot of women coming in and doing it for gifts for their partners, for their birthdays, anniversaries, wedding day is huge. But then I found that after the pandemic, or during the pandemic, there was a lot of women doing it more so for themselves, because we needed that confidence boost again. I think a lot of women over the last couple of years, they had put on weight that they weren't comfortable with, and they just needed a pick-me-up. So I find that now more and more women are coming to me for that. And then also there's been a huge increase in women coming for their own websites, because I find that a lot of women are doing... There are
like
a lot
OnlyFans?
of OnlyFans. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I think that that's really increased like the last few years.
Oh, so it's really become like more of their business marketing.
Oh, yes.
So it's blown up.
Yeah.
Now, for anyone who is considering becoming a boudoir photographer, how hard do you think it is right now?
The market's definitely become saturated over the last couple of years. There was a lot of photographers, especially wedding photographers, that weren't working because weddings weren't happening.
Right.
And so they pivoted, like many people in business have, and they picked up boudoir. And so the market definitely is definitely saturated now with boudoir photographers.
And are there any tips for anyone who is getting into this area that you would recommend or give feedback to?
I think that doing something such as boudoir, because it is such a personal, intimate form of photography, that you have to have the personality to do that. You have to it's not just about taking photos. Anybody can take photos. It's about providing an experience, being that, just motivating them and encouraging them and being their friend, I would say.
Leaving your job as a single mom, as a lab tech and starting as a single mom, when did you know was the right time?
I really felt that, I felt it, like I always say, I felt it in my soul. I really did. I felt really, I had this confidence that I could do this.
Was there motivators that accompanied fear for you to help you grow your business?
I always say, I remember I was in a relationship at the time, and he wasn't very supportive of me because he was actually a police officer, so he had a very cushy job and that, and so did I, working as a lab tech. So I think he was very nervous and didn't fully support me making this transition to a boudoir photographer. And even my mother, she looked at me and she said, "Really? Do you really think you're going to make money doing this?"
Oh, you had challenge. I like that. And you went, what's your sign?
I'm a Sagittarius, so
okay,
maybe,
well,
I'm just...
that goes well with Aries.
Yeah, so I just, it was kind of like, I'm gonna make money. I'm gonna do this.
You're gonna challenge it.
Yeah, and it wasn't even, when I started my business, it was never even about, it was never a money-driven business. I saw the income as a bonus. It was more about the relationships that I made with my clients and making women feel like providing that experience. And that is what drove me more than anything.
Absolutely. How do you find your business has evolved though? Because you've been in business for 10 years and like, do you ever get bored? Honestly, like
No.
not the same thing, but like, your maybe daily routines or the style, like what has changed for you over the 10 years?
I feel like I can see it in my work. My work has definitely improved.
You like look back and like,
it's a little cringy for me. You
go back through your like social media.
Even when I started, there was like I used boas a lot and hats and gloves and all that kind of, and then now it's like,
it was in more.
It was, but I'm like, I don't ever want to see another boa ever again in my studio.
I did wear my boa
today. And I just find that I think even the last year, I feel that I'm becoming a lot more creative.
So on the topic of S&M, would you say that's the most requested type of shoot that you go for or have women ask for?
Not necessarily, like but it is very popular.
Like, what's the trend now for like sex and what men or women want to see?
I've been doing couples sessions where it's couples like S&M sessions. So that's
cool.
So it is. It's very hot.
Would never do that. I was like, that would be kind of cool.
It's funny though because many of the men that come into the studio are they're very quiet and they're very nervous. And then as we get going, like everything's very tastefully done. What you see, it's basically I put them into positions, and so they have to hold these positions. And although it's very staged, it ends up being very hot, and couples are very turned on after this. Right. So, like sometimes they have made comments about even not making it out of the parking lot of my studio because, and then when
you see them in the car, like, hey, I did my job.
Honestly, it's a great start to a date night. And then the men, although they enter the studio and they're nervous, they're not sure what to expect. When they leave, they're the ones that are saying to me, "That was amazing. That was so good," and they love it.
Now, do they ever ask you to join in on their session?
No.
They outside the box.
But I'm very careful as well as to how I position them because I'm very respectful to their relationship, right? So I have to, I have to be careful about that. So
absolutely, I know there's it's hard because you're a beautiful female, but do you ever do full-on male sessions where you have men on their own? I
will, I have, but my focus is mainly on women. That's my main focus. But I have had requests to do male nudity, and that's where I draw the line.
Well, it's interesting because I remember seeing on Instagram this really steamy shoot with Melissa Kelly herself as the model. And there was a gorgeous man. He was tatted and like head to toe. And it was just like a beautiful photo and it was sexy. And I didn't know anything else aside from it. I was like, you go girl. I was like the comfort level to shoot with someone nude of, the sex you're attracted to.
Yeah.
How was that?
Interesting. It was very exciting, very hot.
Did you get like horny from it?
Yeah. You saw what he looked like, right?
He was very handsome. I was like sexy. And he looked like he could be your partner. Like you guys looked like a couple. You look like a hot couple.
Trust me. And he's married and he's a model. And a lot of those posts were huge. A lot of people messaged me saying, "You guys need to be together. You better be together." Like, oh my God. Yeah.
And it's interesting because you think of it as like a line of work and, what was his background? Was he like a model?
Yeah. So he's a model. Okay. He's a model. So he reached out to me to do a shoot. Okay. And then we just kind of put ideas together and we didn't anticipate them to be as steamy as it was. It just happened.
Did you feel chemistry? I mean, it clearly showed in the pictures. Like, I mean, either you're a really good actress, which I'm sure you are, you know, but it really resonated more than just an image, you know? And I like that. That was like really hot to see.
Yeah. Definitely. There was definitely chemistry. Yes.
Now, I mean, leading into that, I think they were fabulous photos. Did you feel comfortable beside a man who was naked?
I did have to do a shot of tequila before I did that.
Okay, it's fair. You know, we all have our, what we warm up to.
I had to do that. It was just because I had never done anything, and I didn't really know him. I actually knew him from years prior from the gym.
Okay.
And I actually photographed his ex-girlfriend at the time, like back when I first started doing boudoir.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he reached out to me, and I was like, you know what? And I was newly single.
So you're like, fuck it, I'm going to do something a little bit out of my comfort zone. I mean, I feel like it would be in your comfort zone though. Like you're in this industry. So do you think this is more normalized to you, being nude or naked in photography?
Yes. Yeah. I definitely feel, yes, it's a very liberating feeling. Number one.
Absolutely.
We're all very shy about it, but honestly, the minute that I can convince one of my clients to go completely nude, that will probably be their favorite shot.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So when I did that with him, like because there was like nudity in that, we were both nude in that photo shoot, and it was so hot that we ended up doing another photo shoot like a month later.
No way.
We were like, we
and
have
then
more.
who was the photographer?
So she goes by Wonderless Images.
Wonderless Images.
Yeah,
Okay. Wonderless Images. Now, being in front of the camera, were you nervous at all? Because, I mean, you're used to shooting. I know you've had some, like, modeling experience as well, so.
I was definitely nervous. But, yeah, I was excited. And I remember, like I said, I had to take a shot. I did a shot of tequila. But I made a playlist.
While this was all going on?
Yes.
You're like date night playlist.
Yeah, and it's a very like sexy, hot playlist. And it was, so.
Was it weird to feel his balls between your ass cheeks? Is that weird?
Well, no, like.
Be there? Like, would you reposition it?
There was one particular shot where it was like, this is when we decided to get fully nude, it was a bathtub shot. And,
okay.
Yeah. It was,
and did you stare?
I straddled it.
Like,
I tried not to.
Okay.
But he has tattoos from head to toe and tattoos in that region too.
Okay, so you had to look.
I had to give a little peek.
So when you straddled him, did you have to like sit on his dick, or was there like a layer of like a towel? Or,
we tell people that there was a layer, but there wasn't.
I love it. It was like a see-through, like sheer knot.
But we were professional.
A layer of wetness.
We were very, very professional.
I love it. That was great.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. So it's funny because I'm sure you see that in your steamy couple sessions too, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
It's interesting because he is a married man and you are a newly single woman. As a wife of a married man, I know if Owen was like shooting with some super hot like model like you and you were straddling his dick, I'm very jealous and crazy.
Me too.
So like, how did his wife take it?
Because of his industry that he's in, she was completely, she was super chill about it. I know I couldn't be.
Yeah, you're like, okay.
So, and to be honest, like over the last couple of years, especially, over the pandemic there, I would shoot women in my studio that were living the lifestyle. Yeah. So there's a lot of women living the lifestyle now where husbands and wives are both living the lifestyle. And
what do you mean by the lifestyle?
They're inviting other couples in, or I've actually done quite a few shoots where I'm shooting two women that are both married to men. Okay. And they're doing a photo shoot for each of their men because and I've done that quite a few times.
Like a couple that like, so not just lifestyle as in shooting together, but like they're like having sex with each other.
Yes.
Oh, okay. And I've heard, honestly, like I've heard a little bit about the lifestyle. I am very intrigued by it. I feel like being jealous, it might be a little harder for me, but like stepping out of your comfort zone, like I think it's really cool that couples who are confident enough to be together can play with other couples.
Yeah. And that's exactly what they're doing. Yeah. And that's exactly what they're doing. And then I think that really came to light during the pandemic when we were in lockdown and couples were bored with each other. And they were, and I'm just going based on the stories that I've heard, and one, whether he or she like approached their partner about, let's try something different, let's spice things up, and they, invite another couple into the bedroom, and so as a result of that, I've said, I've been shooting women together, for gifts for their partners. You
mentioned to me that you started a new business last year.
Yeah.
So tell me a bit about that.
So again, it's on the creative side. But I had always wanted, in the back of my mind, I had always thought to do some kind of interior decorating and styling. I'm very good at it. I have an eye for design. But then the boudoir took off. So I never even gave it another thought.
Right. You focused on your strengths and what the demand was.
Yeah. So then I ended up taking the interior decorator course back in the fall, and I ended up becoming certified in November, and I worked on my first, I assisted with my first project, which was Hamilton's first speakeasy called My Father Was Famous. So I don't know if you've been there, but
no.
It's a really cool vibe. So you actually enter, you go through a bookshelf, and then you go down, and then you need you ring the buzzer, and you need a password to get in.
Oh, that's so
it's
cool.
Very cool.
Is it downtown Hamilton?
It is, yeah.
Oh, I gotta check it out.
Yeah. So it's so I had the pleasure of assisting with that, and then so it's only been a few months that I've launched this new business. So it's called Bella Decor, and on Instagram it's thebella.decor, and it's very exciting. I have a couple of residential clients that I'm working with, and then I just recently was asked by another local hospitality group to kind of revamp their restaurant. So I'm very excited to be doing that as well.
Oh my gosh. So what is your goal? What percentage do you want to be boudoir and then interior design?
Boudoir is my first love.
Yes.
So I always want to do boudoir. Interior styling and decor, I'm trying to have a balance between the two of them. But realistically, boudoir is my love. I am 46 years old.
You look what? You're 46? What? How did I not know this? I was I could have looked at your health history.
Well, you help with that though too.
I was
you turn back the clock.
Here's my plug. No, I'm kidding. She's 46, guys, and she's so hot, and you look decades younger.
Thank you. So, this is what happens when you're single. No stress.
Ladies, the grass ain't always greener.
But realistically, I'm thinking long term. 56. When I turn 56, in my mind, I'm who's going to come to a 56-year-old boudoir photographer? Right. I know everybody says, "Oh, I will," or people will, and I'm well, okay, I appreciate that. But at the same time, the last couple of years with the market being so saturated as well, who knows what's going to happen in 10 years from now?
That's true.
So yeah.
You really don't. So that's amazing. So what's your exit plan? I know that's a far away question maybe because you just started the interior styling.
Yeah. So I would say my retirement goal is to actually have property out towards Niagara. If I'm going to stay in Ontario, to have property out in Niagara where I can have a bed and breakfast Airbnb, and where I can also use my interior styling and decor skills as well as my photography skills to create an experience for people visiting wine country.
Oh, that's amazing. So you can kind of integrate everything, and then you'll turn a hobby into something you can...
Yeah, I always have something that I'm working on.
And it's a business, and you don't even know it is. It's just something you love to do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly.
What a gift.
Yeah. I love vision boards. And years ago when I started my business, I had another photographer say to me, have you ever done a vision board? And I said, no, but I will. Because I knew of vision boards years ago. And I did a vision board, so I've done one every 5 years. So I've just recently done a new vision board, and literally I check everything off that list. Okay. So I'm always looking ahead. I'm always trying to reach my goals, and put the systems in place to do that.
You're very task oriented, yes. I find. Is that right?
Yes, yeah? Correct. Yeah.
And I have another question for you. I know this is kind of like, speaking of vision boards, if you're sending a nude to your partner,
okay,
what's like, if you're like not a photographer,
yeah,
and you just want to like, look sexy, what do you find is like some flattering angles to do that in, with your cell phone? If you're gonna like,
yeah. So like, the one thing that, I find that a lot of, especially in particular older women, they still want to hold the phones up like this.
Okay.
And that's okay. But just bring it down just a little bit, because I find that it just makes, your forehead look a lot bigger than really what it is, right. Too. So that's kind of selfie, facial, to capture your face, I guess. But for your body, I always think like leaning forward is a little bit, like always keep your chin up.
Chin up, so you don't look like you have a double chin.
Yeah, chin up, chest out. What I always say to my clients too, and it applies when they're doing selfies as well, but every single time I start a shoot in my studio, I go through my list. Chin up, chest out, stomach in, stick out that booty, point your toes, a nice soft a flirty smile at all times. If I ask you to smile, like give me a nice genuine smile. Because a lot of women want to have that sexy look, which is great, but also men want to see that you're having fun in the bedroom too.
They want to see like
that you're having a good
time. Your face. Yeah, absolutely.
A smile is very sexy.
Okay, yeah. That's good to know.
Yeah.
And like, do you feel like a nude would be good to show your like genitals in? Or is that like something you would say, leave it for like the bedroom, but do something to, tease?
Yeah, like there's all sorts, all sorts of angles to use.
Yeah.
And lighting is key.
Yeah, right.
Lighting is, yeah.
Okay.
So like a nice ring light is always good as well. Okay. And just kind of leave things maybe to the imagination a little bit as well. Okay. But like oil is great on the body.
Oh.
Men love, or women, men
right.
Love oily skin.
Do you use oil in the studio?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
Not all the time, but yeah, like there are times that I do. Like it's depending on the shot. Like if I want a wet look, I would have oil on their body and then just like spray a little bit of water so that the water beads on top of the skin. So it gives
That's how you do it. We had a shoot the other day, but I was, not the other day, a couple months ago. And it was just for like the website, and we like kind of spraying water, but it was cold. It was like the winter time, mm-hmm. but I didn't think of the water oil trick. I just like literally like was like throwing water. I've learned something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that's a good, and then another, doing some, if you want to add some filters, we're all guilty of putting filters on our photos and videos, so that makes a difference as
absolutely
well.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
To hide any kind of flaws. But yeah, I do have a tip though. If you are maybe not necessarily in a marriage or a relationship, if you're single and you're sending, nudes or videos to people, make sure that if you're going to go into the vault of your photos, make sure that you update your nail color, and that like if you're not going to send a photo. Yeah. So like if I was to take a photo of myself and send it to my current partner or someone that I'm seeing, and my hands are in it, you want to make sure that the nail colors
matches,
or else they're
like, bitch, those were red nails from the fall, and you sent it to 10 other men.
Yeah,
like that's really good.
Yeah. So you got to be careful of that. Yeah.
Okay, so nail color is really important, especially if you're sending nudes. Oh, you're so
yeah. You just got to be careful of that. So
I never thought about that. Okay, that's good to know. Now, you did mention, we have some clients that probably use OnlyFans. I'm going to be honest, like with work and whatever. And what do you think is the most positive feedback you get? Like what style of photography or, I mean, it's so different. Like
if you're doing OnlyFans,
a
lot. Well, with OnlyFans, I find that, although they say that showing your face is what attracts people, a lot of women will show, I'll photograph from the lips down.
Okay.
So I won't show necessarily the whole face. Sometimes I have edited out full tattoos because they don't want to be recognized. Because a lot of people are going by a different name, different. They're trying to be more discreet that they're on OnlyFans too.
Is it hard for you to edit tattoos out?
No, not at all.
No? Okay. Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now, I mean, you are also a mother.
Yes.
And your daughter is how old?
She's 17.
Wow, she's a woman.
I know.
Much.
Yeah,
She's like an adult.
She's working. She's been in a relationship for 2 years, longer than I have for a while. So, but she's wonderful. I'm very lucky to have a daughter like her. I really am. So she's
how close you guys are.
We're very close. Yeah. I separated from her father when she was 4. So I've been basically on my own with her. I've never lived with a partner all these years. So I've been in relationships. I've been engaged and all that, but it's always just been her and I living together. And we've really created a bond and a friendship. And that's the biggest thing. I think that I've always treated her with respect. I've always talked to her with respect. And I remember my mom when I was younger saying to my mom, I want to be best friends. And my mom said, I'll never be your best friend. Mm-hmm. And I remember being hurt by that. And I wanted to do something different I wanted to live differently with my daughter, where I want her to know that I am her best friend and she can come to me at any time. And she has.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Does she have a male influence in her life? Like she'd see her dad?
She occasionally. Okay. But my stepfather, he's been there for her all along, and he's wonderful.
Amazing.
Yeah, he's been great. And then after her dad and I split, I was in a relationship for 7 years, like I had mentioned, with a police officer, and he was wonderful with her. He was so good to her, and it was like her most developmental years. He was around, and so he was. Although him and I didn't always get along, he was wonderful with her.
Wow.
Yeah.
Has she seen your studio?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and she's super like.
Oh, she loves she is so. She sees that, when she was growing up, and being a young girl, she was starting to be in cliques. To get involved in cliques. There was always cliques in her classroom, and girls were not always very nice to one another. Kids in general aren't always very nice to each other. So the message that I gave to her with doing what I do in business is, everybody's going through something, and to make someone feel special no matter what, and to make others feel beautiful too. It's okay, like not to talk bad about other people or to judge.
That's amazing. She sounds like she has an amazing role model to work with.
Oh, thank you.
You are so inspirational in so many ways. And do you know what she wants to do? Does she want to follow in your footsteps with business?
She wants to be in the film industry.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So she's more.
Like Mama.
She wants to be more in the, behind the scenes in the film industry.
So has that influence rubbed off because you are an actress and you also are featured on Amazon Prime?
You know what? I don't know if it's necessarily been me, any kind of my influence on her in regards to the film industry or the acting. The acting thing is not something that I love, I'll be honest. I was approached to do this movie that's on Amazon Prime. It's actually, so it's called Leanne, and it's on Amazon Prime in the States and in the UK, but it hasn't been released in Canada yet.
Okay.
So we filmed that summer of 2021. We filmed that on location in Quebec. And it was funny because I remember coming to you and getting my Botox done just before. And I was like, don't put too much in because I still need to like have expression when I'm on camera.
I'm like, well, just low dose it. It's fine. Yeah. We'll give you a little bit of movement. We still look good.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, that's, but yeah, I encourage her. She's graduating this year. She's going to go back to school for another year. So I encourage her to do whatever she loves, where her passion is. Because that's so important.
Well, I can't wait to see the show. Is there any way we can get it in Canada? Like to watch it online?
I'm not 100% sure. I just know that it's on Amazon Prime in the States and the UK right now.
Okay.
So.
Well, when I go there next, I will be looking you up.
Yeah. But it's a scary movie. Let's just say that.
Are you like the villain in it?
No, I may not survive in it.
Oh, no, I'll cry at that part. I'll be like,
there's a lot of blood.
I like it. That. I mean, it's interesting. Keeps things,
it's fun. Oh, right? It was a great experience to film that. And yeah, so in the past I've done like commercials and that kind of thing too. But that's just something I do, every once in a blue moon.
Wow. Now, I'm looking forward to seeing it, and I think it's really cool. Do you think you'll have any other acting gigs coming up, or is that kind of it for now?
You never know. Honestly,
approach for something else.
It's funny because I always get asked to be the role of a mom. And I'm like, why? Like, I'm covered in tattoos. Like, you can't really tell right now, but I'm like, I've got an edgy look. I'm covered in tattoos. I'm like, why do I
You're like the MILF.
I guess.
That's like 25.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what happens down the road. You never know.
Well, we had this, speaking of mom, and, you have a daughter and, she's still in school. And you did mention to me that there was an incident recently that happened this year about you were driving to school to pick up your daughter.
Yeah. So in January, it was actually January 11th. I was on my way to pick up my daughter, and I was just like a block away, not even. And I was approaching the school, and I noticed that there was a car accident, or there was cars stopped at least. And when I approached the scene, I looked over and I saw a teenage boy on the road, and his body, it was in a way that you don't want to see, that you can't imagine seeing someone lying there. And I was actually on the phone to my mom at the time, and I said, "Oh my gosh, I think someone's dead." And I ran out of I literally pulled my Jeep over, and I ran out, and there was a crowd of students standing there. There was about 30 students standing there. Some of them had their cell phones out, and I came out and I said, because I didn't really see any evidence of a car accident. So I saw him there and on the ground, and there was no noise and no movement or anything. But I knew that something obviously awful had happened, and I asked everyone what happened, and nobody answered me. And then I said, "Does anyone know CPR?" And nobody answered me. And I actually thought, because there was shattered glass all around him, I thought that it was actually a shooting. And I thought that he had been shot, which is why nobody was doing anything. Someone had the gun or something. Like I didn't, all these thoughts were going through my mind. And I just decided to put my knees into the shattered glass, and I began doing chest compressions on him. And at that time, there was another mother that approached the scene, or she was there, and she had her cell phone on speaker, and it was she was on speaker to 911 dispatcher, and she said, "There's someone here doing chest compressions." And the dispatcher said, "Do they know what they're doing?" And I screamed, "No." And she said, "Okay, we're going to do it together, okay?" And I said, "Okay." So she said, "We're going to count to 100, and we're going to do chest compressions to 100. And I said, "Okay." And she asked the other mother to take his pulse, and he still had a pulse. So I began doing chest compressions, and during that time, I knew that he was, to put it, he was passing from this life to the next. I knew what was happening. So I didn't realize what had happened until I got up and I let another nurse and paramedics take over, and that he was actually hit by another 15-year-old, that it was a hit and run. So during this time, like, I thought that I was, I'm trying to help this boy and do whatever I could. But at the same time, I felt like I could be risking my own life, because I literally thought that somebody had a gun or something. Like, I just reacted. And I just thought, I couldn't believe that nobody else was doing anything, and they all had their cell phones out and were recording. And I just thought, I was really upset at first when I left that scene. I was very upset, but then I realized that, it's just their generation, and it's just automatic. They just pull out their cell phone. Right. And I hope that if anything positive comes out of this, that if you do stumble upon a situation such as I did, that you do what you can to make someone feel comfortable, and try to help someone else. So yeah, so I've been getting some help for that. And I had a very, very therapeutic moment a couple of months following that, where it was just like an overwhelmingness that I kept feeling, and flashbacks and PTSD. And I do know I have suffered from like PTSD from this. Yes. There's a lot of things, especially like my memory has been greatly affected from this, and because I'm trying to forget a lot of the images that I see. I get a lot of flashbacks. So in that regard, it's also affected like my overall memory, I feel. But I had a moment the end of February, I believe it was, where I had really bad thoughts because I couldn't handle the images in my head. And I ended up screaming at the top of my lungs at my favorite, along in Hamilton, we have a brow. It's called the Mountain Brow, and it overlooks the whole city. And I was at the top of that, and I just screamed my heart out for the longest time, till actually my throat hurt. And it was like all this like feeling of overwhelmingness was like inside of me, and I just like let it all out. And I got back in my vehicle. I started my vehicle, and I drove home, and I had a great night with my daughter, and that was it. Like I didn't know if I could continue my life, and I had that moment, and here I am. Yeah.
It's so heavy to see, and I'm like, I think everything happens for a reason, and you were there to help him pass. Yeah. He needed someone to be there. He was alone, right? And you're a mother, and I think you can relate to it in so many more ways, which makes it even harder.
If it was my,
I should have Kleenex in here. I have condoms.
It's okay.
Okay.
Condoms.
Yeah, no,
But I just thought, like, if it was my daughter, I would hope that somebody would help. So yeah, so it's been heavy. It's been a couple of months of like just healing with like getting over a relationship that was. It was my relationship was a toxic relationship. And so dealing with that, and then, and I tried to move on, and I, tried to meet other people, and it's very hard. And then the accident happened. At the same time I was starting up my new business. So yeah, but everything I believe that everything's going to, just as it always has, fall into place. And there's a reason why that happened. I just don't know what it is yet, but we'll see. Yeah.
Now, if you could tell your 18, 15-year-old self some life tips or feedback on, what you've experienced and learned.
Yeah.
Like, what advice would you give them to yourself at 15 or 18?
Just to continue to stay true to yourself, and to that you're, number one, focus on yourself. Always be willing to learn more. Be humble. Be kind. Be genuine. Be loyal. And do what you can to make someone else feel good. And don't take things so personally. That's a big thing.
I feel like that's a big thing for sure.
It is. I take
even
things,
now, like, I'm learning as I go.
You
you get thicker skin though, I think, the more you're exposed to shit in life.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And just to be a good person overall. Cuz your looks change, and your friends may change, and relationships change, but just always be true to who you are. Like I just feel that if you can make a difference in someone's life, do it.
I love you, Melissa. Oh, this is so sweet. So, for anyone out there who's single male with lots of tattoos.
Oh God! No,
you want Melissa to make a difference?
I thrive better on my own. To be honest, I do. I do. I thrive better when I'm on my own, and my focus is on my career and my daughter. And
amazing. So right now, just honestly, taking that break for you is the best thing you can do for yourself.
Especially like with what I've gone through the last couple of months.
You just need that break.
I do. I need that break, and I'm okay with that. I love dating myself. I will dress to the nines, and I will take myself out for dinner.
I love that. I did that once. I got dumped a couple years ago, and well, actually not a couple years ago, because I've been with Owen for like 12 years. So let's just go back to like early 20s. And I first moved to Hamilton. I was dumped by a guy who was here that I moved to Hamilton kind of to be closer to him because he was local. And I went to the keg on Valentine's Day by myself, like the day after I got dumped, and dressed up. And there's something liberating about like actually going on a date with yourself. Oh,
I encourage women to do that. You need to date yourself, and don't worry about what other people think. Let them, trust me. I've been at a restaurant, and I know people are probably thinking, oh, look at that girl, she got stood up. And it's like, no, I'm just here by myself. And I will sit and I will have a glass of wine, and I will eat a 4-course dinner, and have the best time. I don't have to force a conversation. I don't have to try to like sell myself to someone, or
you just do you.
I just do me, and it's such a great thing to do. It's just to date yourself.
Well, thank you, Melissa, for coming onto our podcast today. It's been so grateful. I'm so grateful to have you. And if I need life advice on like anything, mother, business, relationships, taking nudes, I'm going to call you. And if anyone wants to reach out to Melissa, you can do so on her Instagram. It is Melissa Kelly Boudoir. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much.